A very warm good morning to each one and each one of you, every listener of our live or the recorded session. My name is Pradyumn Singh, and today I'm going to be your host for today's wonderful session brought to you by Divya Karuna Organization. And today's session will be presided by Birungi Beatrice ma'am. She is a very profound and renowned neuropsychotherapist, spiritual counselor from Uganda, East Africa. And today she'll going to give us the knowledge and she'll going to speak on the topic transcended worry and pre-existing calm. If any one of you arises with a query or a question, you can ask it in the live chat and you will be thoroughly answered. So by this I'm going to hold my horses and you can take the charge, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Today's topic is closest to my heart: transcended worry, pre existing calm. An existence, an experience beyond the physical, ordinary limitations of fear is possible. We can have that calm, tranquil state amid storms. We unnecessarily torment ourselves by telling ourselves ideas in the head that never come to pass. And precognition is simply the identification of what's already there, already, and it is already made ready for when we need it. So if we know that, why do we torment ourselves unnecessarily and worry? So the choice we make to either see events with the eye of the heart or the judgment of the mind is up to us. We are in an era right now where distractions are many and moments of genuine peace are few, merely existing and not living. Most of us are merely existing and not actually living. When we are staying up in the head, rarely finding time to get into the heart where living resides. And we may find ourselves confusing existence with living. Existing means merely getting by, feeling detached, and staying trapped in the monotony of repetitive thoughts of our ego. Living, on the other hand, is when we tap into the still, silent, calm space of the heart, that unified field that is uncontrolled by repetitive thought, where every breath resonates with purpose, every moment is enjoyed, and every day brings new inspiration and new revelations. And we can bridge that gap and move from mere existence with worry to truly living with calm, ease, and effortless flow. Wouldn't you love that? Every moment of our life, we are always in a struggle, creating unnecessary torture and suffering with our thoughts. Telling ourselves in the head things that aren't true because of what we perceive through the senses of what we see and what we hear. Most times we torment ourselves unnecessarily by staying on the surface, on the external events we see with our senses. So precognition is simply identifying most of what we invent, most of what we compose, most of what we construct and design comes through from this unified field. And it's not that it's not going to come, it's already here. It's already encoded to show up when it does. And aware of all this makes us surrender to the infinite, living a life of no worry, knowing all is already catered for. It might not be easy to understand the nature of an intelligence that already has encoded what is to occur. We can tune our hearts and minds into this energetic field and allow it to be conveyed from the unseen realm into the seen realm that we can see. That which already exists but not yet manifest in the physical. And we can pull that from the unified field and manifest it in the physical realm. And when we realize that we are tormenting ourselves unnecessarily, we need to go into that unified field. We are anxious most of us of the time about our state of affairs, not realizing that what we want to manifest is already there. What if we were able to see what already is, but is not visible? What if we were to know that what we have ever wanted that? What if we were to know that what we have ever wanted to become, what we have ever wanted to have, and what we have ever wanted to experience is already here with us? We don't have to move anywhere. It's already there. We are already what we desire. But our vision is not yet open to perceive it. What if what we think is here to swallow us is creating a way of triumph? That which we are constantly worrying about. What if it is creating our way to triumph? We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. And with our thoughts, we make the world. This was quoted by Buddha. Our mind, our thoughts affect our perception and therefore our interpretation of reality. It is not what happens to us that causes us distress, but the interpretation and meaning we give to that which happens to us. If our mind is controlling us, it can be a destructive force in our life. When we control our mind, on the other hand, we can create good and experience a truly fulfilling life. Who wouldn't want that? It's crucial for our happiness, for our health, especially mental health and emotional health, that our thought processes. The mind is like an ocean. On the surface, it is active. In its depth, so tranquil. It might be worry on the top of our head, but at the core of our heart, there is that tranquil, our inherent state. So as the mind settles down into the zero state, completely settled yet awake. We are completely settled yet awake. Beyond all activities of the mind states, we are transcending mind activity into the self, into the bottom of the ocean where everything is tranquil. To go beyond even the faintest impulse of thought to the level of pure consciousness, that is 0 point energy field. That is the unified field. That is the source of creative thought. That is the source of the 0 point state. And once we tap it into that field, we discover that we are not ruled by our thoughts and our beliefs and the words that we say. Standing at the our energetic field. Let's get familiar with this 0 point state, this unified field. What is it? It is a field we can learn to tap into anytime. And not only is the 0 point easy to access once we know how to connect to it, but we can also access the infinite possibilities stored within it. And we can create a reality of infinite possibilities. This 0 point energy exists in every single everything, and the reason we don't manifest our desires is we have been taught that we are separate from the 0 point field. We have been taught that we are separate from spirit. In truth, we are woven into the very energy of the 0 point field because of us listening to this presentation today. And since we are part of the 0 point field, we are also connected to the universe in its entirety. And we can recreate our reality by tapping into that field of infinite possibilities. Once we sit in the stillness, in the silent space of our hearts, we feel the universe coursing through us and raising the vibration of our thoughts, connecting us to cosmic energy, the power within us that is as limitless as the cosmos. And we can carry the energy of the universe within us, and everything in the universe is within us, and we are already that which we seek. We are already that calm, transcended state. We need to be in a state of nothingness, in a state of stillness, centered in order to connect with the 0 point field. What is meant for us when we get to that state will naturally flow to us. There will be no more chasing once we get to that point. There will be no more struggle once we get to that 0 point field, and no more forcing. It is just flow. We not only live in the universe, but the universe lives in us. We are the universe, and the universe is us. And we are made of the same essence as the universe. The universe is made of quantum energy, and we are quantum energy. We can create anything at will. Quantum energy is formless. We are formless. We are not this body. We are not our thoughts. We are not the chaos occurring at the top of our head. We are not those thoughts about the bank loan. We are not those thoughts about rejection. We are not those thoughts about death of a loved one. And once we tap into that field, we will discover that we are not ruled by our thoughts. We've been merely taught that we are separate and powerless because that is what society has accepted as the truth. But the real truth is that we are innately connected to our own pool of infinite possibilities. We are connected to our own pool of infinite possibilities, and we can tap into those infinite possibility field once we tap into the 0 point energy field. And how do we transcend from the chaos at the top of our head to that tranquil state, that 0 point state, that field of infinite possibilities? One is to always be present in the now. Whatever it is we are doing, to do it with passion, to do it with zeal, and to experience time as if it does not exist. When we get to that now present moment, we are in that state of stillness. Two, having a walk in nature. Three, listening to music. Four, singing or chanting. And six, exercise. So unlock the key to our happiness. Where intention goes, energy flows, and the more we intentionally focus on positive things, the more positive energy will flow into our lives. We have to regularly take time to focus intentionally on positive things, on positive thoughts, on positive intentions, on positive thoughts, and positive words to torment us anymore. And this is the baseline state where our mind is free of thought, emotion, or opinions. It is emptiness where bliss resides. In this state, our minds we created against what we really want to manifest in our lives. Self-doubt, self-criticism, fear, worry, anxiety, and stress all have one thing in common. They originate from our thoughts. We can overcome, we can master, we can tame overwhelming thoughts and emotions and stop over worrying and stop overthinking. We have unfortunately lost our ability to experience events and moments as they are without judging them, without criticizing them. We interpret and filter what we perceive through our current mental data models. These interpretations of life are what we are aiming to go beyond, what we are aiming to transcend because they are illusions of life. And these interpretations are shaped by fictitious human constructs where we put our ego between what we perceive and what we experience. We are filtering using all the mental constructs to think about how our perceived object relates to or does not relate to us, to our dislikes and to our likes. Our thoughts are engaged. Our ego is in the foreground, not in the background. And when our ego is in the foreground, we remain up in the head. We remain worrying. We remain in fear and anxiety. It's time now to make the journey to get to the heart where stillness resides, where calmness resides of our place in the universe, especially when that place is threatened. We can only think of what we can imagine, feel, and think. And we think only within the constructs of our words. And because we rely so much on our imagination to survive, we have lost touch with who we are as energy and not matter. We humans are very great at telling stories, at imagination, and we can create beautiful art, beautiful music, beautiful paintings, beautiful architecture. These are the beauties of the mind. However, that imagination can also be dangerous. It makes us go to war. It makes us have conflict between ourselves and others when there is a fight of the egos. And it makes us lose compassion. It also seeks to separate us from nature. Our thoughts are not real. They are illusions. And they are illusions that are created by our ego to have it believe that we are separate from nature, that we are separate from people, that we are separate from others. Our egos believe in that separation because that is how the ego can see the truth that we have and experience beyond thoughts, beyond feelings, beyond what we see with our eyes, and beyond what we hear with our ears. There is an interdependence in the systems of nature, and our ego has created illusions that can be dangerous. These illusions create a sense of separation, and we feel lonely, and we feel sad and anxious and desperate. The truth is, we are not separate beings. We are not separated from nature. We are not separated from each other. We can regain connection with all that is. And that's where poets and religion come in to point out something that can never be understood by our human capability. And because we cannot understand, we are told to simply believe. And that's what is referred to as faith. To be able to trust in something we are uncertain of, that's something that is already there but we cannot see. And this is the source of today's presentation. Can we be able to have an experience, to have that experience of what has not yet happened, but which is yet to happen and which is already around the corner, and not just sit in worry and fear? There is no independence in nature, there is only interdependence. We lose touch with the genuine experience. We isolate ourselves in the illusions. Opinions become facts and rule our lives. The thought process is what we have to transcend to go beyond these illusions into the zero state of mind where overthinking and overworrying will not exist anymore. So to transcend can mean to experience life beyond fictitious human constructs, to experience life without thinking, to experience being, and to observe our thoughts objectively for what they are. And we are able to notice that thoughts are fleeting and that we are not that thought. We are simply the observer of that thought. So sadness, scarcity is not our identity. We are in touch with our true nature, the self. Thoughts that come from scarcity and sadness and self doubt and self criticism, fear, worry, anxiety, and stress, all those thoughts are illusions. In transcendence, there is no interpretation. Every thought, every emotion, every intention, and every word spoken and action creates vibrations within our system. And this vibration elicits particular neurotransmitters to flood our entire bodily cells that either downgrades or upgrades our health. Prolonged thinking in this way incapacitates our body cells to operate as they were designed, leading to our bodies not to be able to replenish, not to be able to rejuvenate, and not to be able to heal, leading to disease. Such disempowering thoughts keep pulsating in the subconscious memory patterns stored in the body and brain, influencing our bodily system even when we are not actively thinking with fear, anger, or worry. Subconscious memory details that run our body on autopilot are held within our brain and they affect us strongly because these messages are sent in the body as though they are happening in the current moment. And the vibrational frequency of stored memory affects us as if we are thinking about it on a daily basis. And in due course, this leads to energy depletion, it leads to exhaustion and disease, and our minds and the central nervous system constantly try to fight or flee from upsetting situations that don't actually exist at all. This constant reaction to the subconscious event creates a hostile environment within our system. And this constant reaction to the subconscious event creates that hostile environment. For example, when one is angry and fearful, there is a certain pattern of energy flow that is generated into the body. Certain muscles get tense, organs activate, others shut down and become ignored. Once the anger and fear is resolved, the pattern goes back to neutral. Now let's briefly look at the reality of the crisis, the trials and the challenges and setbacks that we face that cause us to worry. If you were to know that this trial is an opportunity for growth, a lesson in disguise, we would stay in our tranquil core amidst life experiences. And we would move through turbulent times with a sense of purpose and direction and expand into a higher version of ourselves, move through turbulent times with a sense of purpose and direction. How wonderful life and existence would be if we would be able to see the world and humanity and chaos through the eyes and lens of higher consciousness, instead of a limited view of the world and existence through the lens of low consciousness of survival. We are living in tense times right now where everything we know seems to be under threat. And every news report fills us with trepidation, even when there is no justification for it. As a result, we struggle with anxiety, we are scared with what's going on, war, adverse weather conditions, the pandemic, financial crisis, the feeling of lack, beliefs of being not enough. Our good mood sometimes dampened by someone else's dark, negative mood. But how we respond to the chaos in an awakened way gets us into thrival in a world of chaos. And we can tap into the infinite 0 point field to assess infinite potential and learn to grow from being at the mercy of our thoughts to being able to control our own destiny as we like it. We notice silence and stillness and stay within that and sink into that silence. That silence, that stillness is the absence of thought, and it can't be known by thinking about it. It can be known by experiencing it. And what does this mean? This means that what is happening out there, the chaos and the hardships and we see, the trials we are going through, when we tap into the bigger picture, we are gaining something from that. When we resist what is happening, rather than accepting that what is occurring, the trial we are going through is for a higher purpose, we are giving away our power, we are depleting our energy, and that means that that energy that is meant to be at the heart center is being depleted, and we cannot get into that tranquil state, that calm state. We shut ourselves off when we judge the trials we are going through, when we judge the crisis that we are going through. The more we can be in a space of flow with the dysfunctional chaos around us, the better it will be for us to get into more alignment so that we can be able to transcend into that place of infinite possibilities. In that moment when we are caught between the wall and a hard place, if we pause, the divine comes closer to us. It arrives into our auric field and it transmits a feeling that we are not alone in our trial, that we are not alone in our tribulation, that we are not alone in our challenge. And that there is something bigger than that moment of trial. It communicates to us that this is an opportunity of opening our perceptual lens to see a higher perspective of the challenge. What if the challenge that we are going through is meant to transcend us, to propel us to higher heights? A quick shift of perspective where we see challenging there. Now, as we get to our table of contents, we are going to be seeing the self-inflicted misery of the mind, focusing on the absolute and not the relative, the key factors in transcending thought. But one thing that I would like to repeat over and over again in my presentations is the self-inflicted misery of the mind. Listen to this very attentively. Of all the things that people value in the world, the mind is the most precious. So we have to be sure to look after it very well. The mind is easily tricked into happiness or sadness, and it has the power to deceive us as long as we take our deluded thoughts as real. They continue to torment us mercilessly. No creature in the world is as miserable as man in the misery of mind. We torment ourselves with our mind. Sorrow, pain, and suffering are burning in the mind. No creature's mind is full of torture, fear, loss, grief, pain, discontent, anguish, lamentation, rejection as a man's mind. Our life on earth is ever with sorrow, storms, turmoil, ambition, disappointment, insecurity, envy, and discrimination. But that can change. Thoughts are treacherously seductive. Unnoticed, they have compelling power and they become dictators of the mind. When thoughts are noticed, the power they have is the power we give to them. In the light of awareness, thoughts dissolve and become empty. We touch the wonders of the world. We touch the wonders of reality when we tame our thoughts. Letting go of anxiety, living a life of calm heals the body and the mind. With that said, what are the key factors in transcending thought? Number one, it is focusing on the absolute instead of the relative. And what is the absolute and what is the relative? The relative is that which keeps changing. People's behavior, circumstances, emotions, thoughts, and places. All these are relative. They keep changing. Why should we let our peace be disturbed by the relative that keeps changing? What is the absolute? The absolute is that which remains the same and never changes. And what is that? That feeling of we are whole, we are complete, we are deserving, we are worthy, that contentment, that completeness, that abundance, that wholeness, that fulfillment, that inner freedom, that unconditional love. That is the absolute that never changes. So the first key factor in transcending thought is focusing on the absolute instead of relative. The next point is affecting situations with the energy of our body and mind, knowing that what we think and what we feel affects what we will see. If we have positive thoughts, we attract positive. We attract what we have become. The third key factor in transcending understood the unified field, and we now know what it is. And as we get towards the end of our presentation, we can tap into stillness, we can tap into the silent 0 point energy field once the mind is interiorized and withdrawn from its identification with the world and with the body. The inner sounds become all absorbing. Those inner sounds carry that high vibrational frequency mind to maintain a steady focus, reducing the mental clutter, achieving deep tranquility. Because through focused attention, practitioners can reach a state of heightened awareness and calm, considered conducive to tuning into the vibrational frequencies of the unified field, that field of creativity. Repetition of sacred sounds is also good, and mantra meditation involving repetition of chanting or silent recitation of sacred sounds, of words and phrases. So in the stillness within, as we move from the head, we hear the sound of silence beyond thoughts and beyond emotions. Right now, you can choose to close your eyes or to focus on one particular point in order to be able to get down into that stillness. As we move from the head and hear the sound of the silence beyond thoughts and emotions, that listening to it helps the mind to settle down further and become aware of the underlying stillness behind the sound as we become one with everything. That universal hum thrumming around and within us, that cosmic sign of our interconnectedness, where we are in harmony, where we are vibrating in harmony with the tune of the entire universe. Each one of us has the signature of everything that has ever been, everything that has ever been done, everything that is yet to be done. It's all within us right now, pushing us to and fro as we hustle through the cosmos. Bring it deep into our body, and even deeper into the heart space. Slow that heart space into the toes and focusing onto grounding into Mother Earth. As we stand at the 0 point, we are generating the highest vibration in our energetic field. This is allowing us to attract what is highest for us, eliminating the need for expending energy needlessly. We can decide what we want to download from this infinite realm of realities, deciding our own fate and our own life course. Remain into that communion space where you feel one with everything and everything is you. We are everything and everything is us. All we need is right here with us. No need to worry, no need to pray, no need to feel anxious. All is here. All is present in this present moment of the night, in this space of silence, in this space of stillness. Be still and know that I am. I am. I am. As that sound of I am resonates with you, as it gets you into that field of connective, creative realities and infinite possibilities, create your intention of what it is you want for yourself, and you can remain in this state for the next 10 minutes. But for purposes of ending this presentation, you can continue with this later. Take 3 deep breaths in and out as you get ready to get back into this flow. Smile at the heart to trick the brain to release those neurotransmitters of happiness, dopamine and serotonin, to transmute the cortisol stress gluttony hormone that keeps us in line. Gently rub your hands together, open your eyes, and get back into the room. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation. I hope you'll keep on getting moments for yourself where you can get into that stillness place where your thoughts will no longer be able to torment you. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for this wonderful session. And if you allow me, can I present you with a couple of theory which have arrived in my mind, and then we'll end the session. Okay. So,
Thank you.
ma'am, I would like to accolade. I would like to give you accolades about the idea of absolute which you have presented. I'm asking that the competitive environment in India is very, very harsh. The mental stress on the student of age bracket of around 16 to 24 years of age, the student in India is facing a tremendous amount of stress on behalf of his studies and making a mark in his society. So I would like to ask that what all tips you want to give to all the students who are listening us or who are going to listen us in the recorded session, that how to cope up with all this mental stress and how to keep away all those mental reflections, all those mental health issues, because these days even Olympic Olympic athletes and Olympic gold medalists are also facing such mental issues, like the example of Simona Biles, who have just even after winning multiple gold medals have give up the chance, has taken a step back from the Olympic stage just because she was not feeling up to the mark in her mental level. So, what are all the steps you are want to give, being a like such a renowned psychologist and psychotherapist? How to deal with it, man? Yes.
Thank you very much. I will not call it a solution. I will not call it a tip. It is something beyond what we can conceive with our mind. It is what we can experience with our heart. And what we can experience with our heart that will enable us to go beyond the mental stresses is only one thing: realizing and identifying that unique vibrational personal signature that we were sent into the physical world in physical bodies as our mission to achieve. However, when we get to the world, we get into a world of survival for the fittest. We get into the world of competition and comparison, and we find ourselves comparing ourselves with others when that is not necessary. Because when I am in school and I have posts to pursue, I'm always seeing myself in comparison with others. I'm always seeing myself as the ideal and where I am right now. And this gap is almost impossible to feel when we are comparing ourselves with others, and especially when we have societal demands. We are our own unique individuals, and each one of us has a unique personal signature that we were sent into this world to achieve and to do. Our calling, our mission, and our purpose. So there is no need to compare ourselves to others. There is no need to get into stress over exams. Look beyond the examination and see the service you are going to offer to humanity after you graduate in whatever course it is you are taking. And that's why trophies become misleading. When we receive a trophy, it is as if we are up here and we are above everybody else. No, we receive the trophy in order to be of better service to the other person by being an example of achievement, but not through competition, not through rivalry, not through comparing ourselves with others. Comparing ourselves with others brings us dissatisfaction and being authentic with my true self,
Yes. Yes.
being authentic and true to my real self, not the self
Yes.
that I want others to see, not the self dictated by society, who I am.
Yes. Such an enlightening knowledge you have, ma'am. It is wonderful, ma'am. It going to be wondrous. It going to do wonder for coming people and all the generations who are going to see this. And I thank universe and all the energies
Let each,
to be your host today.
let, let each one of us identify what it is that we were sent here to do. And
Yes,
once we
yes.
offer that service to humanity, there is no need to compete with another. There is no need to compare ourselves to any other person.
Okay.
Our own unique personal brand signature
Mm,
is what is going to get us out of the fretful existence of mental torture and mental struggle.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for all the knowledge you have shared today, ma'am.